are such an asshole!
Related to you or not, romantically interested or not, take the lessons that you've learned from women when you've dated them. What do you gotta do with them? You gotta draw the fucking line, and you gotta tell them the word that they love and hate both at the same time. No! No! I know Western civilization and the media and Oprah and Obama and Hillary and the Democrats and the socialists and the United Nations all love to tell women yes, but man, it's your job. You were put on this motherfucking planet to tell women one thing and one thing only, and that is no! We're not good, because if you let women rule the day, we've seen this. Every once in a while you see a micro example. We've never, the communists, we've never had full-blown socialism. Every once in a while they'll put together a commune hippie together, or a couple episodes back we saw what happened with that deli out in Massachusetts or whatever was ran for a nonprofit. So we get some insight like, yeah, communism fell. Sometimes we get outright examples like North Korea and the Soviet Union or East Germany. And every once in a while you'll see what a true matriarchal, like if women ran society sort of thing. There was that famous Dutch version of Lost or Survival Head or whatever the hell that show was, and they put a group of women on one island, a group of men on the other island, and the women just blew through the resources, were tanning, and the men had shelter and all that. Women left to their own devices. And sorry, ladies, I know there are some of you who aren't like this. I know many ladies in the middle. I know one former CIA who could kick my ass. I'm not talking about you girls. But in general, women are designed to consume resources and breed children and nurture. They are not out there. Of the 2 million years of human evolution, they have not been terribly trained or conditioned or evolutionized in the art of holding to standards and looking forward and making tough, hard decisions, at least as it pertains to finances, survival, resource management, etc., etc. Their primary goal is to keep the children alive. To keep I understand that you have to have both. Yeah, I'm not saying it's inferior to men. I'm not saying it's superior to men. We need both. We need both men and women. We've gone down this road before. But especially in Western civilization, you boys have failed horribly in saying, no, we're not going to keep the house. And by the way, there's the fucking door. Tom Likas at blowmeuptom.com. In addition to no, and I'm not joking. I am not joking. You look at any, even though I'm not religious, you look at any religious text of the main religions where they talk about marriage and the relationship between men and women. Men are usually there, the patriarchy, the final arbiter, blah, 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 telling women no. So this wisdom has been realized for thousands, eons of years, at least written down. The man has got to, there's rules. Hey, there's rules of engagement with women. If you let them to their own devices, they'd just be running around until the resources ran out. And they'd die. They would completely die without us. And I don't mean that in a funny, those men, what would they do without us? No, you girls would be, if you didn't kill yourselves, you'd be eaten by saber-toothed tigers pretty quick. Or you'd just die of lack of starvation. I mean, inevitably it would be like, oh my God. A couple might make it. But then they'd be like, yeah, we're kind of like guys. But and then we'd be, hey, maybe. And then that would result. Never mind. Not going to go down that road. Where was I going? Lost my place. Oh, but in addition to men telling women no, I think, and I'm being deadly serious, in addition to that, Tom Likas has added the addendum, and if you don't like it, there's the door. That is the necessary teeth that is needed in today's world. And there's the door. And you could say, and there's a government check. Because now, and at least into the foreseeable future, in pretty much all of our lives, for anyone listening to this podcast, it'll probably be like this because the government will print off more money. It will borrow. I think the international financial system, on faulty ground as it is, you're not really pointing to a door and there, go out and make your own way or find a new man. You're really pointing to a government check. And saying, if you don't like it, there's a government check. All right? It doesn't hold you to standards. It doesn't, in other words, the threat is not that much. It's just like, I'm kicking you out of my life. Here are my standards. You're in my household. Here's the rules we're going to operate by. And by gum, by golly, here comes big-titted Molly. We're going to follow my fucking rules, and we're going to go down the path that I'm blazing. And if you don't like that, you have many, many other options. But they all are outside of that door that you are going to go walk through, and that includes collecting a government check, supporting yourself, a combination of both, becoming a perma-professor where you never actually support yourself, working in the nonprofits. Heaven forbid you actually go IT or STEM or engineering and actually get yourself a real career. Or there are billions of men out there that would like to have sex with you, and they may even subject themselves to marriage for it. But while you're in my household, sweetheart, here are the rules. Now, every man, not every man, but the vast majority of men in Western civilization have failed miserably in that regard. And whereas you think, well, what's the consequences? We should treat women equal. And you should absolutely treat them equal, but you also need to have standards. You also need to realize they're women. And the consequences for just rolling over on your back of many things is this situation where you have the financial problems of basically the wife or the mother or the grandmother torpedoing the entire family's finances. Not because, we're not going to get the house. I'm not talking about inheritance like, I wish mom would sell the house so she could give us some money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the unnecessarily high maintenance costs and property taxes. I'm talking about the repair bill because grandmother not only is incapable of repairing the place, but she doesn't know how to repair the place. She's been clueless. Dad took care of that the entire time. And for something as petty as, and I understand to women it's not petty, your family memories were there. You women have got to realize you're finite and you're going to die. And for you to hold your kids' futures and lives and your grandkids' futures and lives hostage so you can live in the past, that's psychotic. And whether malicious or not, whether intentional or not, that is greedy as fuck. That is selfish as fuck. And you, again, malicious or not, you're an asshole. You're a bitch for doing that. And I know you go down the road. I don't know if mom can understand this. I don't know if my grandmother can understand this. I don't know if my wife can understand this. Again, this is what happens when you pamper women for their entire lives. This is what happens when you don't really treat them like equals. Where we do this hybrid thing. Well, we'll treat women equally when it comes to benefits, but we won't treat them equally when it comes to responsibilities. I wait like a panther, hiding in the brush in my own imaginary jungle. And I just wait for the moment that my girlfriend complains about something that I know should not be complained about. One time she complained about oil or the car, or like I didn't do something. And I said, no, you're going to change the oil. And then immediately, she caught herself like, oh, crap. And no. Just because you realize you were caught in the trap does not mean you are out of the trap. I made her change oil. I made her change spark plugs. And now guess what happens when it's time to change oil? There's no more complaining, and there's actual thanks. Thanks for changing the oil, dear, because now I changed the oil. You hold them to a standard. And here's the other thing. I don't know how you could not hold a woman to a standard. I mean, do you really want this typical ditzy, hole with tits and a cute set of eyes? That's the one thing I never understood. I kind of do want an equal. I expect it in my friends. I expect it in my girlfriends. I expect it in my future wife or whatever. In all relationships, regardless of gender, I expect somewhat of an equal. I expect at least some standards. And if it's going to be someone I'm living with or dating, romantically involved with, especially so. And by God, by golly, again, here comes well-endowed Molly. I'm going to hold him to that standard. I'm the person I spend most of my time with. I'm not going to listen to whining and complaining, especially unfair stuff. Especially when I have a plan, when we're going to go out here, we're going to do this, we're going to travel around the world, which is wonderful, by the way. But then I get people, oh my God, how did she let you do that? What do you mean she lets me do that? Not to get personal, but let me ask the society a question. This is what happens when you do it Aaron Clary style. I say, I'm here on this planet one time. I want to do all these things. This is the way I'm going. You are either going to support me, and if you don't want to support me, you don't have to. There's plenty of other gentlemen out there where you can say, no, you can't go around. Like the rest of the people I know. Quite literally, not all, but quite literally. We're talking 95%. 95% of the people I know. Hell, I even know a good buddy of mine, good family friend of mine. I had to break him out of husband jail. This guy was so happy to go get drinks, and I know this couple, and I'm like, I wouldn't imagine that woman would do that. Why would I know that woman? She's a very good friend of mine. I thought she would. Doesn't matter, guys. It's in their psychological DNA. And what did he say? What did this guy not do? Okay, class. Does anybody know what Aaron's friend he just had to break out of husband jail, who was very, very excited to go get not one but 2 shots of scotch? Does anybody know where this husband failed in his manly responsibilities? That since time immemorial, very wise sages of various religions all ironically came to the same conclusion that you have to tell women, what did he not say, ladies and gentlemen? The magic word, no. Followed by, there's the door. Not just him, but many other people. They look at me as if I had summited Mount Everest on a pogo stick. Like, Shiva? I'm meanwhile looking, I'm like, wait a minute, you need permission to go out and get yourself a scotch? I told you guys about the pot hanging incident, right? Maybe that was quite some time ago. Maybe it deserves telling again. Let us turn to the book of Cappy Cap. Chapter 3, verse 7. Cappy calleth up his friend John. John, he said, dost thou want to go and get a beer? And John said, I would like to get a beer, but let me checketh with the wife. Anyway, so I called my buddy John. This is 10, 15 years ago. Guy wasn't even married. He was engaged. I say, John, buddy who lives across the river, right across the river. I've had a powerful enough trebuchet, I could probably hit it from my house. Do you want to go down to the bar that was right a block down from this guy's house, also across the river? Would have been a 30-minute, at max, hour endeavor. I think it was even a Saturday night, Saturday evening. Wasn't so busy that the bar would have been crowded. Just to get a beer, the most innocent of things. Get a beer. And he says, I don't know. Let me check with the wife. And it wasn't the wife back then. And immediately I'm like, well, you got to check with you can't get a beer. For God's sake. Saturday, let's go. And then you could hear in the background the muffled voices. And then I hear Clary. And then you hear, Clary! And then this ballless sheepless fuck, this castrated pussy, comes back on the phone. Well, I can't. We got to hang a pot rack. And I said, what? Wait. Say that again? Say that again. I didn't hear that. Did you just say a pot rack? He says, yeah, we got this pot rack. We've been meaning to hang it for a while. And I remember saying, well, can you not postpone the great hanging of the pot rack? No, we got to get it done. And that's why I knew he was gone. I knew this was probably Second Lieutenant Cappy. Second Lieutenant Cappy. He wasn't a full captain, but he was an officer. He was starting to pick up on some more strategic things rather than just rank and file, charge that hill type of stuff. And I kind of knew, I'm never going to be hanging out with this guy again. I could, but the amount of effort I'd have to put into going to hang out with him and then him getting permission from the fiancé/wife was just not going to be worth my time and effort. Because I also had other options. This was back when most of my friends weren't married and we were still free, and men were allowed to roam the prairie with the buffalo. But I just knew at that time, I'm not going to see this guy probably much more. And then sure enough, they moved out to, Oregon. And yeah, it's just, you just know. You just knew. But that's what happened. Then now imagine that. To get a beer, you need that permission. My other buddy who needs permission to go and break out of husband jail. And I come along like, hey, I'm in town. No, the girlfriend flying in on the weekend. Yeah, she lets me do this. No, I'm crashing here and there. Oh, I can't believe it. What, you can't believe a woman let me? Matter of fact, I insisted on and she accepted that I'm not going to waste this setup that I got, and I'm going to travel around and hang out with different intelligent people, and I'm going to enjoy the sun during winter. You can't believe that? What happened to you guys? I feel like the Joker in that Batman movie. What happened to you guys? A year ago, nobody would cross you. And I think I know why you all have your little therapy sessions here. It's because of the Batman. Except it's not the Batman, it's the Bat bitch you guys all married. I know. Some of these are very nice women. It's not conscious. It is, because I know a lot of these women, they were nice. They would let their... And then I don't know what happens. It's their nature, guys. It's their nature. If you don't stop it, what's the only thing going to stop a woman in nature? The trees, the birds, the weather? No, man. Man is the only thing that you should stop. But you're countering. You're the yin to the yang. You're the balance. Fucking hell, did you see what happened to Ashley Judd? Her speech? That's what happens without an unchecked woman. That's what happens. Well, that's pretty presumptuous. Shut up. Oh my God, he told me to shut up. I find him oddly more sexually attractive than I did before. But I don't like you. But no, look, if you didn't know, go online. Look at Ashley Judd. She did a speech at the 250,000 Woman March. And she's unhinged. That is someone that has not had a man ever tell her no. And I know a guy who personally met her. I kind of went on a date with her. I think it's the same gal. I kind of get her and Scarlett Johansson mixed up. And he was, clueless. She's just out there. Tons of money. Beautiful. No guy tells her no. And that's what happens. You get an unchecked woman. You get a woman that has never had to think about anyone but herself. And that's the result. That is what will happen. Not to all women, of course not. You need millions of dollars. But they go down that path. And I can't, you got to listen to the speech or the video to really get the context. Maybe even pause to take a look at it. That is what will happen going unchecked. And men will become, well, warmongering Genghis Khans, which we oddly celebrate. You need both people. But right now, especially with the assistance of the state, academia, and the media, it has been so heavily skewed towards the female side of things that this is what we have now. You got women with pierced eyebrows, warped hair, illegitimate... I could go on. You see the cultural and societal decay. But and it's too late now. It's too late now. Right? Not for the younger ones, not for the younger boys. All right, for you guys about to get married, you're still dating, you could hold the line. And I'm not saying we're looking for a societal-wide change. It would be nice if all men united together and said, no, fuck you. Here's the standard, sugar. Here are the standard, sugar tits. You either adhere to them or you get the fuck out. But at least in your own personal life, control your own micro-environment. Control your personal environment. The woman is going to help you. The woman is going to be a net positive to you. The woman is not going to lead you. The woman is not going to tell you what you can and cannot do. Within reasons, give and take, I understand. But you're going to live your life. You're going to go do what it is. And I don't care who the woman is, your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, or your sister. You're saying, I'm going this way. You can support me. You can even say nothing and not support me. But the fuck if you're going to get in my way and hinder me. The fuck if you are. And this doesn't mean you don't help your loved ones. This doesn't mean you don't help your wife. This doesn't mean you don't help your mother or your grandmother. But when all of a sudden they start requiring that you give up your life, you give up your future, just so for their comfort, especially when their lives are over. That's the thing that gets me about the old timers, who again have been brainwashed with been brought up in such a pampered bubble. They lack the ability for altruism and selflessness. Again, not maliciously. No. Someone's got to tell them no, guys. But then you might get yelled at. And we know shame and being yelled at and the girl holding sex away from you. Or if you were stupid enough to load up on debt and have kids, and she might divorce you. Well, there's a big threat. That's true. Just don't let yourself get